What's going on? Welcome to the fourth episode of Conversations with the Politician. Today, I'm really graced to be in the presence of greatness. One of the things we like to say is greatness continues. And it has continued on this particular day in a way different scene. She's not a hooper. She doesn't play football. She is an educated woman, killing in what she does. Not only is she an entrepreneur owning, I believe it's called Go Naturally Mary. She's a cancer researcher, a book lover, as she calls herself, amongst many other things. I am graced to be in the presence of Miss Ashley Banks today. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Of course.
Let's just, how does, in our culture, we are big on sports and entertainment and everything that has flash behind it. Nothing of what you do is necessarily flashy, but is necessary for what we should be as a people. How did that even happen?
Honestly, so I grew up in the hood. So I grew up in Brooklyn, and it's a place where people hoop. That's what you do. You know what I mean? And that's what I saw. And at that time, it was either you're in the streets doing something you're not supposed to, or you're into sports. And for a while, I guess it just felt like I was all for sports, but it wasn't until I guess I actually had a teacher that sat me down and was like, do you know how intelligent you are? And it didn't hit me because that's not what my focus was. And that's not necessarily where focus was instilled into me.
So you did start off playing sports.
I did.
I was worried.
I did. No, basketball was mine. I'm not even gonna lie. Basketball and track.
Okay,
those were my things. But my mother died of breast cancer when I was in kindergarten. And I think it was just something in that moment. I just felt connected to medicine, science. I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew that industry was for me. I had to do something.
Wow. So that was even while being on that sports side, you already knew that there was a connection there. Wow. So this is honestly even bigger than your community. This is personal for you.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. Speak a little bit about what grade was that when you had that with the teacher?
With my teacher, honestly, it was late in the game. I want to say maybe 11th grade.
Oh, you was coasting for a minute.
Yeah.
Oh my! So now, your childhood, we're playing basketball. We're running track. We're also understanding that medicine is in the future. When did you come around to picking up books, or was that also everything going on during that time?
So I was always that person where I've always loved books. I've always loved school. I've always loved writing papers, typing papers.
So you was always doing a lot.
But I hid that part. Because to me, that part wasn't cool.
Right.
That wasn't cool. So I secretly loved it, but you couldn't tell by my actions that was something that I loved.
So when you got to school, you were a killer. But when you got back home, we in these books.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that. After a while, I think, it was a situation of, I, like you said, I coasted and I didn't truly realize my potential. So I was, a lot of times in my head, I remember in high school saying, I'm not going to go to class because I already know what she's going to teach. And I just didn't go. So, of course, my grades fell from that. Or I would begin to see homework as just something you need to do to get extra practice. And I was like, I don't need extra practice.
Good.
So I wasn't turning it in.
Right.
So it was those sentiments. Not that I didn't like school or didn't appreciate school. I just felt like they weren't teaching me at my level. So then I became bored. And then once I became bored, I stopped doing work.
You just said a whole mouthful. You just said, let's piggyback off of that right quick. And we do have a lot to cover, but let's going there, our Georgia school system. Probably not where it needs to be. And this is just for some of the young people. You saying that, we never know who's actually good at basketball that is constantly, following us. We never know who's good that's actually also smart and brilliant. And like you said, they might be hiding that and then they might be coasting in the classroom. For that kid that's bored, or for that kid that feels like there's not enough being done for them, what would your advice be to that kid?
Honestly, I think it's situations where that's where like good mentors come into play in life. And I feel like every school needs that. Every person, every young person needs that, whether it's a school personnel or someone in your family or, you know, a friend of a friend, whatever the case may be, because, you know, life didn't click for me until someone that looked like me sat me down and said, you're so much better than what you're giving the world right now.
My God, you're throwing major gems right now. You're throwing so we finally hit that spot in the 11th grade, and we understand. Okay, at this point, if I actually apply myself, something special can come. What do those next couple years look like?
So that was oh man, I have a lot of damage control to do, right?
No.
Because now it's like crunch time to apply to college.
I've been tripping.
Yeah, like, oh man, like I have, you know, I got to pull my GPA up. I got to study, you know.
Now, quick answer. Honestly, for some of us that are like really good at getting things done as far as school is concerned, we almost kind of rather that than just doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like we almost kind of rather turning something in late. We'll do that, and then we're rushing. Like some of us say that our best work is in crunch time. Like it's an hour before we got to turn in this paper. We're just getting started. So that's kind of what. Well, not really in essence. In essence, it was I've been chilling for the last 2 years.
Let me buckle down. Let me like go hard. Let me really. So I mean I did, and you know, I guess I did a good job. I got into college. So I guess I did what I needed to do.
We got over the threshold.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I got there. You know, it took a lot, honestly. There was a lot of like in your face, like all of this could have been avoided if you would have just did this and this and this. So then now I know, and you know, I'm able to teach my son like these things so he doesn't make the same mistakes, hopefully.
Well, since we've gotten to this point, let's go ahead and tackle this early. First of all, you know, myself and some of the people that are here on set right now, we have been thoroughly impressed with the kind of young man that he is.
Thank you.
You know, asking him what he wants to be, and the first, you know, football player, he's like, wait, hold up, that's not me. He's like, we're gonna be an astronaut. Like that's very rare. Like I said, in our culture and in our community, sports, you know, singer, athlete, musician, like we're about to be in front of the lights. That's where we're headed to. And he's like just speak about kind of his like the awareness of his intellect that he has at such a young age. He's not even 10 yet.
No. You know, it's crazy, and it always sounds cliche, so it's kind of like I hate saying it, but like I knew he was gifted and special, like a really young. Like my son was spelling his first and last name at 2. Like it was really crazy. He started reading at 3.5, like sentences at 3.5, and I always felt like, you know, I'm a really big believer in like a child only educated at school is an uneducated child. So I would always give my...
We're going to go ahead and hit the rewind button.
Okay.
We're not even going to rush past that.
Right.
A child only educated at school is a what?
Uneducated child.
My God. Jesus Christ. I mean, you're not lying at all. But it's like, to hear you just fluidly say that clearly means this is your state of mind. Please continue. I'm sorry. We weren't just going to run over that. It's
fine. You know, and I know a lot of times in our community, like it's just go to school, do your work, and then come home, and it's whatever. And that, you know, I had that growing up, so I knew that that wasn't what I wanted for him. So before he got, you know, actual homework in school, like I would print out worksheets for him for the next 2 grades above. And I would make him sit down and do that.
How many grades?
2 grades. So if he's in kindergarten, then he does 2nd grade work. And we're working up that way. And, you know, he's bilingual. We speak Spanish and English, and he's learning French in school now as his elective.
You running through a lot of things like with a speed that's just unconscious right now.
I guess it's just our norm. Like I never, you know, like he has, you know, he has his fun and he does comic books, but he knows like if we're buying books, like we'll have Friday night dates in Barnes and Noble. We'll just sit on the floor and like read a book, and he's so happy. Or if there's a movie coming out on a book, I'll say read the book first. Once you finish reading the book, then we'll go see the movie. Yeah.
How fast will he finish that book?
So the fastest, and his teacher was impressed. I think on average, his books are between 300 and 500 pages that he's read it. One time he read a 400 and something page book in 2 days.
How old is he again?
9. He just turned 9.
We just unpacked a whole lot just now.
He's amazing. He's a great kid.
I always say this, and these glasses just came right off. It's cool. I can still see.
Okay.
I always say this, things like that don't just happen. Things like that come from a place that cultivates that young man to be as special he's going to be. Yeah. I think we have gifts all over the place, but I think it's just like you said, we lack that mentorship. We lack those leaders in our community that will cultivate that next generation. Right. We're almost just always worried about us. Yeah. What about you? What about your journey? What about the things that happened to you have channeled you kind of and made you almost to be so ready to cultivate those things in him?
Like I said, I struggled. Like I got pregnant my freshman year of college, you know what I mean? And I stayed in college till I was exactly 9 months. And then I dropped out to work full time just to take care of him. And then 4 years later, I re-enrolled and then graduated. And it's just knowing, that I went through, I'm like, if I can just get him in the right frame of mind, about school and about handling business first, because those things are always going to be there. Absolutely. Like handle your business first. And, even now I'm in graduate school and I take post-bac classes. And he comes with me to class and he'll be avidly listening and my professors are really cool. They'll let him answer certain questions, things like that. And he...
Whoa. I got to stop you again. I'm sorry. Okay. I got to stop you again. You said you're taking post-grad classes.
Yeah, so I'm in graduate school now and I'm taking post-baccalaureate classes. Okay. Because I'm going to apply to PA school in a couple months. So I'm doing some pre-med classes and then I'm also in graduate school.
Now you said the young man comes into the class with you.
Yeah, he comes to class with me on certain days and he listens.
And answers questions. Mm-hmm. Please continue.
Yeah. So I think just with that, but it's good exposure for him because now he's so excited about college. He's like, this is college. This is fun. And I'm like, if you think so, and he's not seeing the fun, like the party portion fun, like, like we'll tailgate and things like that. And he gets that life. But for him to see a lecture hall experience, things like that. The other night, he was in my anatomy lab with me. And just this morning, he was telling me about like superior orbitals and things like that in the face, just things he remembers. And I was just like so impressed that he actually, because it's not like he's just sitting there, like he retains this information. So it's awesome. He'll be ready for college, I guess.
Will he? They might as well give him the degree when he walks through the door. My goodness. That's impressive. First, kudos to you. Kudos to him. That's what he's doing and what you're able to instill in him at such an early age is beyond impressive.
Thank you.
Honestly, I believe we need more of that in our next generation. We don't need that many hoopers. Yeah. There's only 300 of them that's going to make it into the NBA. Yeah. We need those guys to come through and step up and become our men of tomorrow. Yeah.
I think everything with that is like, it's a balance. You know what I mean? My son has been playing baseball since he was 4. So he's been playing for about 5 years now, and he's an amazing baseball player.
Oh, this is crazy. This is a crazy afterthought.
Yeah, but I've always told him, it's not just baseball. Right. Like baseball is great. Like I want you to be active. We're doing different things. We're working out. Great, but it's more than just baseball. Like, if you as you get older, you get a baseball scholarship, an academic scholarship should come first. You know what I mean? It's fine to have both, but I think a lot of times what I've seen is, especially like younger parents in more impoverished areas are pushing for sports are your way out. Sports are your way out. Devote your life to this. Like we'll figure out studying later. No, that's not what I am. My thing is do both. Yeah. Do both. And if you can't do both, then books comes first.
Right.
Books comes first. And and he'll have late nights. Like he will come home from a baseball game at like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but you have homework. So we're going to get this knocked out. And he doesn't even need my help with homework. It's actually really sad. And that makes me sad because I do want to help. Like, I'm like, let me look over it. And I'm just like, oh, it's right.
Well, I mean, at this point, he's helping you with your work. Yeah. So I don't really...
he's my study buddy. Yeah. I'm not even going to lie. He's my study buddy.
At this point, when you walk the stage, he might as well walk it with you.
Yeah.
And they might as well go ahead and just tear him up a little degree as well.
Yeah.
That's, once again, kudos. That's incredible. That's crazy. And I honestly think that he definitely is already sounding like one of the pioneers of tomorrow. That's so impressive.
Thank you.
But all of this is just stems from who you are, where you are, like, and you're not only an entrepreneur, you're a student. Mm-hmm. Not only a student, but a researcher. Yeah. Kind of talk about that balance for you and all the hats that you wear and what that looks like on a daily basis.
Looks like stress. But like I said, my job, I don't do my jobs to do my job. It's personal. Like it's deeper. Yeah. For me, on my day to day, I'm working alongside physicians to, use cutting edge technology to try and find cures for certain types of cancer. And I'm researching things on a daily basis. I'm seeing patients. So that's, it's what I've always wanted to do. And I mean, from there, that's my 9 to 5. And then I'm going to class right after work. And then from there, I'm fulfilling orders for my business. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, my son helps me with that as well. I know. Him again. He helps me with that. And, it's just, it's a juggle. Like I never lie to people and say like, hey, it's easy. It's literally like all you have to do is A, B, C. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's not that, because there are some days wwhere I'm like, dang, I need to go to the gym and I still need to cook and I still have to take care of my responsibilities and clean the house and things like that. But I think when you're in an industry or you have a career that's what you love to do, then it's like you're more motivated to like push yourself to do that. Absolutely. So I want to go to work because every day that I go to work, it's my team being one step closer to saving somebody's life. Yeah. So I want to do that. Once I, am exhausted from work and I'm like, I don't really want to go to class, I go because this is only going to lead me to be an amazing physician one day and save somebody's life that has cancer. You know what I mean? And same thing with my business. That's what it's all about. Everything encompasses like what I went through, seeing my mom and other family members like pass away. Yeah. My business is all about helping people, get over their health concerns or whatever diseases or chronic disorders that they're, battling with. Yeah. And I have so many people I don't even know. They'll just on Instagram, they'll shoot me a DM and say, hey, I know a person who's going through this and this and this, I want something natural for them. And now we're just having a full conversation. Yeah.
Let's speak to all of those different hats you wear. Yeah. Just to get a little bit more detail. Yeah. And just what each one actually is. Let's go ahead and start with the business. Of course, being an entrepreneur, I know how that is. It's hectic on its own. It's its own hell, but it's also its own reward. Yeah. Being able to say that I own this and this is mine. Yeah. Is just it's a spectacular feeling. It is. What does your brand, your business have to offer, and like how does that help other people? Yeah. So Naturally Mary is named after my mom, whose name was Mary. Go figures. Of course, the naturally part, because there's been so many things in research and in science in the medical world that have been brought abreast to constant overuse of different medications and things like that lead to other issues. Yeah. And it was just a push because I'm, from a community that a lot of times like is very unhealthy, unhealthy dietary habits or, aren't going to the doctor's office as often as they should be, things like that. So I just want to offer other people like, hey, like instead of,
taking a Tylenol and ibuprofen and popping this every time you have a headache. Like, why don't we try something else? Let's talk about maybe where the source of your headaches are coming from. Are you eating right? Are you drinking a lot of water? Do you have a multivitamin you take every day? Like, that's important.
Yeah.
Us as young people, are we talking to our parents about, hey, when's the last time you went to the doctor? You know what I mean? Like, when's the last time you got this checkup?
Yeah.
I'm constantly, I'm a big advocate for educating people on my social media. It's for fun, but I also incorporate the education because to me, that's the fun part.
Facts.
So I do like cancer fact of the day is what I always do, like every single day. And I'll ask people, just random things that I can think of that I can find, and it sticks with them. And I've had so many people like, oh my gosh, thank you. I didn't know that. And just the fact that cancer specifically, it plagues so much of the African American community at a younger age than it does a lot of these other ethnicities. Like, people need to be aware of that. They need to understand the hereditary and genetic factors of it. They need to understand the dietary, factors that come with getting diseases, that a lot of them, whether it's obesity, diabetes, high cholesterol, things like that are rampant in the community. These can be, controlled. This can be, these levels and these numbers can be decreased. So I just want to be that light to provide them information on how to go about that. And I'm plant-based, and so is my son. We have been for 3 years. And, so I try and tell people, hey, these vegan restaurants in Atlanta are really dope. Like, check it out. Like, I'll, always talk about things like that, or at least say, try one day out the week, just don't eat meat. You know what I'm saying? One day, like, start small. I'm not, asking you to cut out XYZ like cold turkey. Like, that's hard for a lot of people. But I feel like with all the knowledge that I have, I would be really selfish to not share that with the world.
Yeah. So that's the business. And we have the workplace. And that's all about figuring out the root of this thing. What does that look like?
That's a lot of science. That's a lot of science. It's a lot of behind the scenes science work. It's a lot of understanding the development of cancer cells, the tumors itself, how they travel and spread throughout the body, suppression, like inhibitors, enzymes, reactions, like so many different things. And it's frustrating, of course, because, as we all know, you can have a treatment regimen that'd be working for a couple months, then all of a sudden, like, it doesn't work anymore. And now you're scrambling to figure out something else that this person can do. And I think a big part of me professionally, I make friends with all of my patients. I have a great professional relationship with all of my patients. And I've had, some that their families invite me to their funerals if they pass, because they just told me I've been a light to them. Or, I have patients that will college football season, like, we're arguing back and forth because I'm an Alabama fan, they're a UGA fan, you know what I mean? And it'll be moments like that. But I always feel like my mantra in the workplace is, I treat each of my patients the way I pray somebody would have treated my mom when she was going through the same thing. To me, they're not just a patient. It's somebody's mother, father, daughter, son, whatever. So
it's really personal.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm gonna, if I can ease your stress or whatever for like 5 minutes, and we get your mind off of it and just talk about something else, then that's what I do.
We really I'm so grateful about you coming on. This really was a lot of unpacking today, and I'm grateful that you were able to share as much as you were able to share. To me, everything that I do for the most part now is all about creating, good vibes for people, creating a sense of fulfillment, creating something for them that can take them along their journey, as far as them, how can I say this? Them just feeling empowered to do the things that they need to do, or that they feel they're called to do. But also, especially for the next generation, and equipping them with the tools that they need in order to make it to the next level, no matter what they're doing.
Absolutely.
If you were to speak to a room full of kids, or a room full of, our young people, what would you tell them?
Honestly, it's so funny because I actually do that. I just started doing that last year, and I've gone to Georgia State probably 4 times. I've been invited Clark Atlanta twice, Morehouse twice, and
Don't be
Spelman
bragging
once.
and doing all this. Like, come on, you just
You know,
let's relax a bit, okay? Let's go ahead and calm it down.
you know, it's so, I'm so big, and I'm such a huge advocate of, you know, encouraging the next person
For
to
sure.
be in, you know, STEM, because number one, STEM isn't going anywhere, and there's, you know, there's a real decrease of Black and brown physicians, you know, dentists, engineers, therapists,
Yeah.
you know, things like that. And you know, and just talking to them, letting them know, like, hey, like, our childhood may have been traumatic, or maybe we didn't have the guidance or direction or
Right.
financial resources that other people have had, but that doesn't mean that you can't make it.
Right.
Will you have to work harder? Probably. Is
Yeah.
that fair? No. But how badly do you want this, though?
Mm.
You know, if you want something badly, you make it happen. And I'm always, now that I've made it to a comfortable position, I always extend my hand, and I'm
Yeah.
like, let me be your resource.
We're
now.
reaching back.
Now you know somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas before you didn't know these people, now you do. So reach out to me if you need volunteer hours, you need shadowing, you just need advice, you want somebody to look over your resume.
For sure.
You want somebody to help you with your, you know, college application. Like, let me be your person.
It has absolutely been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
I don't know if you have anything else you want to get off your chest.
No, you know, I really just adversities are there. You know, you can't make them go away. It's a part of life, and it grows you as a person. So embrace those.
You in the book now.
And embrace those, and figure out what lesson that has taught you.
For
and
sure.
then teach that to somebody else.
I'm not even going to start. I'm going to leave that right there where you left it at.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in. This was once again episode 4 of Conversations with the Politician. I am. I am the politician, and I can't wait to see you again. Appreciate you for tuning in.